Okay, on with our special today, education. Today's guest co-host is the editorial director of SchoolFinder.com and Teach Middle East magazine, premier platform for the entire education sector right here in the Middle East and beyond. Leisa Grace Wilson, thanks so much indeed for being with us. Thank you for joining us on DXB today.
Thank you for having me.
Having that chat amongst the team just a few minutes ago about how education has evolved here rapidly down the years to serve the growing population, amongst other things. Have schools evolved as well? I mean, and how rapidly are they evolving at present?
I think they're rapidly evolving, and I think what's happening as well, schools are responding to the demand. They're responding to the changes that are coming, well, from the regulatory authorities, and they're also responding to parent demand as well. So yes, it's a busy time at school with everything that's going on.
Leisa, I have to ask you, because it's something that we had touched on, and Ash had spoken about it from her experience, that now school has moved beyond academics. You know, it is very well integrated, the personal life at home, the, so to say, professional student life at school. Has that been an intentional move, and has that really been a requirement that is now a hole that's kind of filled?
The fact is, schools are more than academics, and I think they've always been. It's just that we've always sort of focused on exam results, etc. But schools develop the whole child. And we're talking about the fact that now more than ever, the skills that are needed are far beyond just exam results, just academics. For schools to be responsive to the skills that are needed for life beyond school, yeah, they do have to focus a lot more on developing those skills, not just on exam results and academics.
Leisa, I want to ask you, as a parent myself, how can we make an informed choice when it comes to choosing a child that is best for our needs? There's something that caters to our cultural beliefs, what we expect from the child in terms of academics. So where does SchoolFinder come in with this?
I think it helps with putting some research in, looking at the facts, because it goes beyond just the glossy PR that you get from schools, and look at what are their results, what are they actually doing for the child. I think here you can get dazzled by massive billboards and fancy glossy brochures, but dig deeper and look at what are the facts. What are they actually doing day to day that caters to the varying needs of your child, or, you know, of the child that you are putting in that school? Does it match?
Yeah. And how can we use your website for this?
So SchoolFinder.ae collates all the factual data. So what we do is we bring in how many students are in the school, what were their latest inspection results, what are the schools offering by way of extracurricular activities, what are they offering by way of exam boards, where do those students matriculate to, what happens to them after they leave that school. So it's that deep dive into the facts that you need to gather as a parent before you make that important decision of putting your child in that school.
How you were saying earlier, Lisa, about how schools are becoming so much more than just learning these days. It's about making students future ready. It's about preparing them for the wider world, for life in general. Does that therefore mean that the challenges are greater for teachers coming into the profession as well? Because they're not any longer just there to teach a particular subject.
Yeah, so teachers, the skills are shifting. I mean, I don't know about your school age, but when I went to school, it was all about beating the books and getting as much in, cramming. That's changed. Now teachers are more facilitators and guides and helping students to unearth their own curiosity and follow paths that they want to follow, rather than sort of spoon feeding and really recommend, okay, do this. No, that's changed now. And so what's happening is that teachers have to be a lot more well-rounded, a lot more well-read. They have to also have interests that they can share with the students. So this is where the shift is happening. It's not beat the books. I mean, it's beat the books, but it's not beat the books only.
Yeah. See, Lisa, the thing is, when we're speaking about one child in particular, you're talking about multiple adults in the mix who need to have synergy, essentially. So what needs to be done for those, you know, I guess the teacher involved, the whole school entity involved, the parents involved? Parents nowadays, really what we spoke about earlier was conscious parenting, really do like to be a lot more involved these days, whereas, I mean, back in the day, my parents would drop me and that was it, you know, not spoken about after. But now, where does that synergy come through, and is that an intentional thing that has to be done by all three parties?
Yeah, I think now we have to look at it as no longer you drop your child off and leave them to the school. Now we have to form a team. And so it's the parent, the teacher, and all the other administrative roles coming together to form a team around that child so that their varying needs are met. So it's a team effort.
Yeah.
Lisa, you spoke a little bit earlier about how easy it is for us in Dubai to get dazzled by some of these schools with the shiny reputation and the fancy cars parked outside. How can parents make an informed choice where they want to send their child to a reputable school? At the same time, budget also matters. Education doesn't come cheap in this part of the world. So how can they make an informed choice that is good for their budget, that's fitting for their budget, and something that's suitable for the child's needs?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think with all that's on the market now, parents have to first of all sit and think about what's important to them and their child. There is something for every budget. And I advocate that expensive doesn't always mean great. I think what's really important is to think, one, what can you afford? And two, what will make the best sense for my child? Now, those two, somehow you'll have to get them to line up, because sometimes what makes the best sense for your child costs a lot of money. But I think shop around. You will be surprised that there's some moderately priced schools that are doing some fantastic things. I've walked the halls of nearly all the schools here. There are some really good schools at not so expensive prices. But you have to get over the glitz.
Regulation is great. Regulation is part and parcel of education systems the world over, and the KHDA and other organisations have done extraordinary work here in recent years. And a lot of people will look at the sort of grading systems and they'll sort of make their judgments and allow their judgments to be judged by that. But from your perspective, what makes a good school? What defines a great school these days?
I think nowadays the key thing for a great school is to be adaptive.
Adaptive.
Yes. Because if you are too stuck in tradition, with the ever-evolving world that we're living in, you're going to be doing a disservice to the students that are sat in front of you, because the world is moving, and I think a great school moves along with the world.
Okay.
Lisa, we're going to have you around for the rest of the episode as we dive even deeper into the world of education right here in the UAE and beyond. But next up, we will be joined by a lady who has been recognised across the UAE as an incredibly passionate advocate for nurturing young minds and empowering future generations. So stay tuned.